As you know, navigating the Italian tax system as an expat, as a foreigner approaching Italy for the very first time, can be something like a rejecting experience, especially if you're not fluent with the Italian language. And I know what I'm talking about because, as you can tell, I'm not a native speaker about the English language. To help you bridge this gap, I would love to share with you a very short list of the most, let's say, essential Italian tax-related words, explaining how they're used in the common language, their meaning, and provided really real-life examples to show you how you can use those in your daily routine. And this video is perfect for those who want to build some confidence in managing their Italian taxes in Italy. But of course, my advice, as you know, is always to rely on someone that is expert in the matter, like a CPA, a commercialista, or a professional. Let's start with the Codice Fiscale, the Italian tax code, the personal, unique, alphanumeric number that is assigned to individuals for tax and administrative purposes. And how it's used? Well, basically, you will need the Codice Fiscale for everything. Almost everything here in Italy, from opening a bank account to signing a rental agreement, to get the driving license, to get the tessera sanitaria, and so on. So, for example, when you're renting the apartment, your landlord may ask, "Ha il codice fiscale? Do you have your tax code? Do you have a fiscal code?" And my piece of advice for you on this topic is apply for a codice fiscale and try as much as possible directly with the Italian Revenue Agency, with the Agenzia delle Entrate office, or of course through any Italian consulate before arriving in Italy. You can get the Codice Fiscale even before becoming a tax resident. Now, what is the Partita IVA, or otherwise known as VAT number? It's a business registration number used by freelancers, business owners, and certain professionals for tax reporting. Generally speaking, this is for everyone starting a business. The registration to the Chamber of Commerce is another step just for certain purposes, just for certain activity codes. How it's used? Well, if you work as a freelancer, or let me say as an independent contractor, or you start a business in Italy, you definitely need a Partita IVA. It's a unique code, 11 digits. And when, for example, you invoice your client, you might say, "La mia partita IVA è 123 blah, blah, blah. My VAT number is X, Y, and Z." Or let's say you want to deduct some business-related expenses, potentially you can claim back. You must give your Partita IVA to the supplier or to the service provider. And once again, please considering speaking with a tax professional to determine, first of all, whether or not you must get the Partita IVA. For example, up to 5,000, there is a high chance for you to go without that. And check what is the best tax regime for you. See what is the best tax regime between the regime forfettario or the regime ordinario. Now, what is the Italian tax return words? Dichiarazione dei redditi, the income tax return, the wealth tax return, the yearly basis fiscal obligation for, recap all of your income, all of your assets all around the world. Remember, we have the worldwide taxation principle. All residents, tax residents of Italy, and certain non-residents or just Italian source of income only, they have to file this document if they meet, of course, specific income thresholds. And an accountant, a commercialista may ask, "Ha preparato la dichiarazione dei redditi per quest'anno? Have you worked? Have you filed this year income tax return?" And the deadline for this dichiarazione dei redditi is typically between June and November. I'm giving you a time range, a time frame, simply because there is a different deadline for paying your taxes and filing your taxes. So file and pay. And late filing bring penalties. Agenzia delle Entrate, the Italian Revenue Agency, Agenzia delle Entrate, that is the head responsible for managing taxes and, of course, enforcing tax laws, and it's also responsible for all the bad audits you may receive in an inbox. How it's used? Well, you may need to visit, the agency to resolve tax issues. You may need to visit the Agenzia to get your Partita IVA, to get your Codice Fiscale, or, for example, to manage some audits you may receive from them. A friend of yours might say, "Devo andare all'Agenzia delle Entrate per registrare il contratto di locazione." Like, I need to go to the Revenue Agency office to register my lease agreement with the landlord. Many services, believe me or not, are available to be provided online. Just connect to the Agenzia delle Entrate website, get familiar with their process and see how far you can go yourself. And remember, all the services provided by the Agenzia delle Entrate website are free of charge. All you need is just your ID card, electronic ID card, or the SPID. Now, what's the name of the personal income tax, the main one? The IRPEF, Imposta sul reddito delle persone fisiche. It's the federal personal income tax for residents and non-residents if they have Italian sources of income, and is estimated based on your taxable income. And most and foremost, remember that we go into progressive brackets and you have to collect several sources in the same basket. For example, if you have rental income, self-employment income, if you have employment income, you add everything, and on the sum, then you apply the incremental 23 to 43%. If discussing taxes, someone might explain l'IRPEF è calcolata su scaglioni di reddito. The IRPEF is calculated on income brackets. Understanding the progressiveness of these tax brackets can definitely help you better understand what the best tax regime for you is if you have the option to choose, and most of all to understand whether or not there is a benefit for you to move to Italy and use the taxes for the credit for the dual taxation agreement. Remember, you'll never pay twice as much. All the taxes paid or withheld in other countries may be credited here in Italy. And that leads to the following word, detrazioni fiscali. I don't like the translation of tax credit. It's way more than that. Tax deductions allowing you to reduce the taxable income for certain expenses. Remember, we have a couple of things that distinguish taxes and taxable basis. There are some deductions, some expenses that can be written off from your tax basis, and some, more important, let's say home improvements, tax credit, medical expenses, tax credit, those expenses you can offset a certain percentage of that directly against your tax bill, are way more powerful. Common deductions include healthcare costs, dependent support, educational costs, and so on. And your tax advisor may say, può chiedere detrazioni per le spese mediche. Same like your dentist, you can claim deductions for medical expenses. And of course, remember the number one rule, keep receipts and documents to motivate and to prove your expenses in any point in time for at least 5 to 10 years. What is the aliquota tax rate? 23%, 43%, 0.2% for the wealth tax, 26% capital gain tax, 7% from pension in the South is a tax rate applied on a tax basis. Knowing the aliquota helps you understand really your tax bill and your fiscal obligation. Or discussing the VAT, the imposta sul valore aggiunto, the IVA, you might hear l'aliquota IVA è del 22%, the VAT rate is 22%. Different services and goods may have a different VAT charge. So make sure that, for example, when you buy something, when you're about to purchase something, you have a full understanding of what the gross will be like. VAT applied on that for that given situation. What is the pension scheme name? Contributi previdenziali. The last word is very tricky because previdenziali means way more than just previdenza, like healthcare. It means pension and healthcare. Social security contributions are mandatory payments for workers of any kind to put some money into the pension scheme and for other benefits. And these contributions are, generally speaking, deducted from salaries if you are an employee, so you receive actually the net that withheld from the payroll, or are paid on a voluntary basis by freelancers and business owners. An employer might explain I contributi previdenziali sono inclusi nella tua busta paga. Like social security contributions are already included in our agreement. And this is very important for you to understand when, for example, you agree on something with an Italian employer. Pension scheme or social security contributions in or out definitely can make the difference in your net profit. If you're self-employed, please make sure you register and pay those contributions promptly, no delays. How to pay taxes? Through the Modello F24, F24 form. And it's a form used to pay almost any kind of taxes, including the VAT, pension contributions, property tax, and so on. And this form is essential, is the core of the tax payments. There are several ways for you to pay that. You can pay it in cash up to 5,000 to any post office or bank office. You can take it to your bank office, they can charge you when the time comes, and so on. Your tax advisor here in Italy might say, devi compilare un modello F24 per pagare l'IMU. You have to file a specific F24 form to pay the IMU, the property tax on your Italian property. Many banks, I would say almost everyone, offer online services to complete and submit this form, so feel free to ask away. What is the esenzione fiscale? This is a very, very cool one. Tax exemption, applicable to certain types of income and assets to individuals under specific conditions. If you qualify for exemptions, let's say you benefit from Article 19 of the dual taxation agreement between Italy and the States, your pension could be esente from the income tax. So you may reduce or even eliminate your tax burden. An expert or someone on the internet may say, ci sono esenzioni fiscali per i redditi esteri. There are tax exemptions for foreign income. But of course, since it's a very unstable ground and very delicate, get in touch with a tax professional to explore if you can benefit from any tax exemptions you may be eligible for. Now, let's go practice. Imagine you're just moved to Italy and you start working remotely for a foreign company, okay? US-based, Canadian-based, whatever. Here's how you may use some of these terms. You have to obtain your Codice Fiscale from the Agenzia delle Entrate to open a bank account and get the payment done there. Or you have to register for a Partita IVA if you're required from your client to set up one for remote work setup. Then when the time comes, generally speaking, by June of the following year, you have to file your dichiarazione dei redditi, including any kind of detrazione fiscale for medical expenses, healthcare expenses. Then you have to estimate your IRPEF based on the applicable aliquota for your specific case. And then you have to use the Modello F24 to pay taxes and contributi previdenziale. You know, whether you're filing taxes, claiming deductions, signing for the 7%, go with a high net worth individual substitute tax, or simply discussing your situation with a professional or even someone on the internet, this short list is definitely useful. Based on my experience with experts, knowing exactly what you need and being able to ask for that sounds like a 2 millimeter shift that separates wasting time and money to actually investing your time and money and solving your problem. Know what you need and learn how to ask for that.